So you're sitting at a red light and all of a sudden you get smashed from behind, but the person who caused the wreck doesn't get a ticket. Joel, do you still have a case?
It's a great question, and that's what we're going to cover today in our first video of a new series on Do I Have a Case?
So we really love viewer feedback, so if you guys have any scenarios or anything you'd like us to discuss to answer the question, do I have a case, please put that in the comments and we'll be sure to address it for you.
So the main thing you want to look at in a situation like that where the cops don't write a ticket to the other person is the same thing you would look at if they did write a ticket.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, no, so, absolutely. We get that question a lot though too, because it happens, you know, cops might think the person who caused the wreck's having a bad day. Like, you know what, I'm not gonna give you a ticket, I'm just gonna give you a warning. And so we'll get calls and they'll say, well, they didn't get a ticket. They didn't get a ticket. What do I do? What do I do? Well, I always want to remind people that criminal liability, or criminal responsibility rather, is different than civil liability. So Joel, what's kind of the difference between those two?
Yeah, so if you're going to be charged with a crime, which is what happens when you receive a traffic citation, you're being charged for violating a particular statute. Lots of times in rear end cases, it's following too closely. Right. That's almost the catch-all we see all the time. The benefit of, if you're the person that's injured, the benefit of the other person receiving the ticket, at least in the state of Georgia, is if they pay it, then that is evidence of their fault, right? It can be introduced in a civil trial to show that the other person was at fault. However, if there's and the penalties that they pay is usually paying a fine. That's the criminal penalty, right? So in a civil case, you don't have to have a ticket to prove that the other person's at fault. You just look at the totality of the circumstances, how the wreck happened, why did it happen, and who bears responsibility for causing it. And sometimes, you know, the different sides can agree on who's at fault, sometimes they can't. But a ticket is not the end-all be-all when it comes to civil liability, where the at-fault person would be paying you money for your physical injuries and damages.
Right, it helps, but it's not the end-all be-all too, because you got to remember too that the burden of proof in a civil case is what we call the preponderance of the evidence. I know we've done videos on that, so it's not nearly as high as the criminal burden that you hear of beyond a reasonable doubt. So yeah, tickets are helpful, but you certainly still have a case, even though the person who's, you know, usually clearly at fault for causing the wreck didn't receive a citation.
All right. Well, we hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, we will see you next week for our next video on Do I Have a Case?